What's up, producers? You're producing house, techno, or even trance music, and you're having a hard time adding proper movement and making your story interesting, right? We call this sometimes ear candy. We call this better storytelling. We talk about this as in like movement in the track and memorability in the track. I personally don't like the word ear candy, but what's the point of all this? Because it's loop based music, and we don't want to switch instruments in and out very aggressively like you would hear in pop music. In dance music, we're going to have to add movement in ways that keep the listener engaged. I'm going to give you a few strategies here to look at, to think about. And I'm going to start off with making you guys listen to what's happening in the track first. Let's jump into it, and then I'm going to give you key ways to think about this. Let's go. So it's I've done trainings with this song before. It's a very steady type of kind of groove that moves forward. There's movement. It's melodic, deep house. What are things that I'm applying right now to give that ear candy, that movement? People, when they hear movement, they think of automation. Yes, that's part of it, but there's way more to it. Think about it in terms of think about it in terms of, how do I evolve rhythm? How do I evolve melody or chord structure? And how do I evolve sound design? If we're just automating knobs on our synths, we're only thinking about the last one, which is sound design. But how about compositionally, to start adding differences and make differences for the evolution of the loop, to feel like there's a longer message in there? It feels like there's small things that are pushing and pulling us through that are actually keeping it more engaging. It's adding the humanness to the loop-based music. So let's dive into like every single one of like the layers and see what's happening here. So if we look at the kick, there's two things I've done with the kick. This is very simple, but I want to go through it just in case you're not thinking it for your own music. At the end of the phrase, I've removed one kick, and then at the end of the next phrase, I've added like a double kick, and let's see what it sounds like. So right here, it feels like when the kick stops, when you're just feeling the song, imagine a club environment where the kick stops just for one kick. It just sucks in the energy. It lets you breathe. It lets you go back into it more impact. So this creates continuity. And let's listen to this one. The double kick here that's happening gives that extra like boost forward emotionally, right? Especially when you're dancing, when you're feeling the music. There's a lot of things you could do with your kicks. These are very basic ones that you do. If you just stick to this, you can write professional sounding music. It's not that you need to do anything more complicated than this. If you look at the bass, I've added more classic kind of automation. And with this type of automation, you could draw it in, which is what a lot of people do, or you could map it and then actually play and record it in and have a very manual way of real life performance way of like, it's going to look something like this, much more kind of detailed, of course, but it's going to add a lot of movement to what's happening. It's cool because it's the same sound, it's the same progression, but now there's more meaning to it. It feels like just the bass line in itself is speaking to you. It's telling a story. It's evolving. It's changing, right? So something to think about when you're automating. And this is just a cutoff. You can automate any knob on your VSD, right? So already we're capturing so much movement just by these few small things. Now, these are the obvious ones. This is what a lot of people talk about. I'm going to dive into more kind of innovative ways of doing it, which, by the way, this gap of silence here with the kick, the clap is also removed. That's making a difference. But if we look at the drums, okay? The drums, they're pretty much loops that I've taken for now. And these are the adjustments that I've made. Give me one sec. So you could actually take small portions of what's happening and duplicate it, just to create like a sense of kind of repetition in a very small piece. Let me just find the one that I did. Here, right here. If we listen, let's say to this loop. Just that, pa 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 pa, because the original loop is this. Just goes on, right? And it's adding these small variations. See, and it's a bit different here versus here. Also here, look, this is the loop. And if we listen at the end of it here, see, it feels like there's a bit of like a stalling. Small variations. If you look at, let's say, this channel right here, let me see if I've added some. So what are we doing? Imagine the drummer here kind of playing and making some micro small adjustments. You could do that. You could reverse sounds as well. But I don't want this to be just like a tactical thing. Oh, I could try. I'm adding that. I want you to look at this from a strategic standpoint. If we need to add movement and make the story more interesting, instead of adding stuff all the time, this is the strategy and the mindset and the dot piece. How can we keep what we have and add a bit more variety in it so it's more interesting to listen to a loop at a longer level, a lot longer timeline? Let's check out this one. It's pretty cool, right? And when we hear all this in the song, volume-wise, this is a bit like less apparent. You know, like we could maybe like raise the volume just a bit of this section. See what it sounds like. Yeah. Now it's more clear. It's on the right speaker in the ear, right? So this is how you could add variety within the drums. Just add more movement. You could also add more variety in your drums by automating some reverb and pushing a specific instrument back in the background and then bring it back just with reverb, right? So something you think about as well. When we look at pads, this is the original chord progression that I have. Hold on, let me zoom out. This is what the chord progression is. This is a basic chord progression. Usually people stop here or just add layers. Here's what I turn it to. 1 sec here. Let me go at the beginning. So like I'm taking this part of the chord, this E, I'm bringing an octave higher. Here I'm reducing the F to a C. And then the G, I'm cutting it and bringing up G. So now the melody becomes. That's kind of the melody that starts poking out a bit more because of these changes that I've done. And it makes the pad more interesting. You could put filter automation, you could do a lot of things here. But this right away gives a bit more movement because the notes are less static and moving more. And I believe I've done the same with this pad. No, I've done nothing here. I've kept that a bit simple. Let's see this pad. See, I've added different changes here. Right here. That's kind of interesting. There's a bit of dissonance here on purpose to create a bit of tension. And we'll look at, let's say, this pad right here. This, we haven't done anything else. So there's two pads that have different melodic movements, which is interesting. If we look at the pads, the plucks, this is what it initially sounds like. Same chords, but with this added note. just those moments alongside with the layering of the pads make a big difference. I believe I did something similar here. Yeah, right here. Let's listen to it. If we kind of like select them at the same time, we see they both, hold on. See, they both have their, this is for one chord, this is for the other chord, this is for one chord, this is for the other, not chord, but layer of pluck. So both plucks kind of are adding variations at different spots. And of course, you could add the typical automation of knobs and everything here as well too. But I'm just showing it from a compositional standpoint, like what's being done. The combination of all this, so the change in the kick drum, the change in the movement in the bass, and you could have rhythmic changes in the bass as well too. These added kind of accents here and there of copy pasting specific hit to make this, to get out of that loop feel a bit, alongside with the compositional changes that are happening. And I haven't done much here. You could do a bit more. You could do inversions in specific spots, make sure things aren't repeating. And you could add a lot of movement in terms of your multiple knobs, your attack, your cutoff, your envelopes. You could add distortion or dirt or noise as you progress. All this allows you to stay with the same instrumentation, with the same layers. It makes actually your mix easier because you're not adding more instruments. Because the first thing producers think about is, okay, well, something needs to happen. Let me add something new. No. Work with what you have. Stay limited in a good way and add movement in what you have to be able to add story to your music. This is what ear candy really is. It's not just effects that are coming in and out. That's the easy way of doing it. This is a more mature way of doing it with less instruments and less needing to mix different frequencies altogether. So I hope this was helpful, guys. What's the takeaway here from what I want you to remember is we're doing more with less. And this is strategic. This is mindset in the DAW. A lot of our education in our mentorship focuses on teaching producers to think at a higher level, like professionals would, and not rely on tactical solutions. Oh, this is cool. This is cool. It's more like, while these are cool, what I'm showing you, it's like there's a thinking pattern behind. Let's stick to what we have and let's add rhythmic, melodic, harmonic, or aesthetic shifts within the instruments that we have to add continuity, memorability, and progression in the music. So if you need help with your production to see where you're stuck, we could do a deep dive, hop on a call, and help you out in terms of like seeing what are the things you're struggling with, what type of help you need best, and if there's a fit for us to work together, we can work together. If not, that's all cool. You will have at least gotten some clarity on what's next for yourself. Love you all. Leave us a comment below if you have any questions. Speak soon.